Hello, my name is Joy. My student number is S04411015, and I'm a freshman at NCUE. I'm going to deliver a speech, Jimmy Whale, the birth of Wikipedia. In 1962, Charles Van Doren, who was later a senior editor of Britannica, said the ideal encyclopedia should be radical. It should stop being safe. But if you know anything about the history of Britannica since 1962, it was anything but radical. Still a very completely self-started type of encyclopedia. Wikipedia, on the other hand, begins with a very radical idea, and that's for all of us to imagine a world in which every single person on the planet is given free access to the sum of all human knowledge. And that's what we are doing. So Wikipedia, you just saw a little demonstration of it. It's a freely licensed encyclopedia. It's written by thousands of volunteers all over the world in many languages. It's written using Wiki software, which is the type of software he just demonstrated. So anyone can quickly edit and save, and it goes live on the internet immediately. And everything about Wikipedia is managed by virtually and all volunteer staff. So when Yokai is talking about new method of organization, he exactly describing Wikipedia. And what I'm going to do today is tell you a little bit more about how it really works on the inside. So Wikipedia is owned by the Wikimedia Foundation, which I founded, a non-profit organization, and our goal. The core aim of the Wikipedia Foundation is to get a free encyclopedia to every single person on the planet. And so, if you think about what that means, it means a lot more than just building a cool website. We are really interested in all this issue of the digital divide, poverty worldwide, empowering people everywhere to handle information that are need to make good decisions. And so we are going to have to do a lot of work that goes beyond just the internet. And so that's a big part of why we have chosen the free licensing model, because they empower local entrepreneurs or anyone who wants to. They can take our content and do anything they like with it. You can copy it, redistribute it, and you can do it commercially or non-commercially. So there is a lot of opportunity that are going to arise around Wikipedia all over the world. We are funded by donation from the public, and one of the more interesting things about that is how little money is actually take to run Wikipedia. So you can show you the graph of what the cost of a printing press was. And I'm going to tell you what the cost of Wikipedia is. But first, I will show you how big it is. So we have got over 600,000 articles in English. We have got 2 million total articles across many different languages. The biggest languages are German, Japanese, French, or the Western European languages are quite big. But only around 1/3 of our traffic to our web closer to the English Wikipedia, which is surprising to a lot of people. A lot of people think in a very English-centric way on the internet. But for us, we are truly global. We are in many languages. How popular we have gotten to be. We are a top 50 website, and we are more popular than the New York Times. So this is where we get to your class discussion. This shows the growth of Wikipedia. We are the blue line there, and there is New York Times over there. And what's interesting about this is the New York Times website is a huge, enormous corporate operation with I had no idea how many hundreds of employees. We had exactly one employee, and the employee is our lead software developer, and he's only been our employee since January 2005. All the other growth before that. So the servers are managed by a retired band of volunteers. All the editing is done by volunteers. And the way we are organized is not like any traditional organization you can imagine. People are always asking, well, who is in charge of this? Or who does that? And the answer is anybody who wants to pitch in. It's a very unusual and chaotic thing. We have got over 90 servers now in 3 locations. They are managed by volunteer system administrators who are online. I can go online any time of the day or night and see 8 to 10 people waiting for me to ask a question or something. Anything about the server. You could never afford to do this in a company. You could never afford to have a standby crew of people 24 hours a day and do what we are doing in Wikipedia. So we are doing around 1.4 billion page views monthly. So it's really gotten to be a huge thing. And everything is managed by the volunteer. And the total monthly cost for our bandwidth is about $5,000, and that's essentially our main cost. We could actually do without the employee. We hired Brian because he was working part-time for 2 years and full-time in Wikipedia. So we actually hired him so we could get a life and go to the movies sometimes. So the big question when you have got this really chaotic organization is, why isn't it all rubbish? Why is the website as good as it is? First of all, how good is it? Well, it's pretty good. It isn't perfect, but it's much better than you would expect, given our completely chaotic model. So when you saw him make a ridiculous edit to the page about me, you think, oh, it's obviously just going to degenerate into rubbish. But when we have seen quality tests, and there haven't been enough of this, and I'm really encouraging people to do more. Comparing with Wikipedia to traditional thing, win-win hand-on. So a German magazine compared German Wikipedia, which is much smaller than English to Microsoft Encarta and Blocker Multimedia, and we won across the board. They hire experts to come and look an article and compare the quality, and we were very pleased with their result. So a lot of people have heard about the Wikipedia Birch Carey controversy. The media has covered this somewhat extensively. It started out with an article in Red Herring. The reporter called me up and laughed. I mean, I had to say that spell my name right. But they really want to say the Birch Carey election is so contentious, it's tearing apart the Wikipedia community. And so they quote me as a saying, they are the most contentious in the history of Wikipedia. What I actually said is they are not contentious at all, so it's a slight misquote. The article was edited quite heavily, and it is true that we did have to lock the articles on a couple of occasions. Times magazine recently reported that extreme action sometimes had to be taken, and will lock the entire entry on Carey and Bush for most of 2004. This came after I totally reported that we had to let it fall occasionally, a little bit here and there. So the truth in general is that this kind of controversy that you would probably think we had within the Wikipedia community now are not really controversy at all. Articles on controversial topics are edited a lot, but they don't cause much controversy within the community. And the reason for this is that most people understand the need for neutrality. The real struggle is not between the right and left. That's what most people assume. But it's between the party of the doubtful and the party of the juror. And no side of the political spectrum a monopoly on either of those qualities. The actual truth about the specific Bush Kerry incident that the Bush Kerry article would not less than 1% of the time in 2004, and it wasn't because they were contentious. It was just because there are routine vandalism, which happens sometimes even on stage. Sometimes even reporters have reported to me that they vandalized Wikipedia and were amazed that it was fixed so quickly. And I said, I always said, please don't do that. That's not a good thing. So how do we do this? How do we manage the quality control? How does it work? So there's a few elements, mostly social policy, and some element of software. So the biggest and the most important thing is our neutral point of view policy. This is something that I set down from the very beginning as a core principle of the community that's completely not debatable. It's a social concept of cooperation, so we don't talk a lot about truth and objectivity. The reason for this is if we say we are only going to write the truth about some topic, that doesn't do us a damn bit of good figuring out what to write, because I don't agree with you about what's the truth. But we have this jargon term of neutrality, which has its own long history within the community, which basically said anytime there's a controversial issue, Wikipedia itself should not take a stand on the issue. We should merely report on what reputable party has said about it. So this neutrality policy is really important for us because it empowers a community that is very diverse to come together and actually get some work done. So we have very diverse contribution terms of political, religious, cultural background. By having this firm neutrality policy, which is non-negotiable from the beginning, we ensure that people can work together and that the entry don't become simply a war back and forth between the left and the right. If you engage in type of behavior, you will be asked to lead the community. Real-time peer review. Every single change on the site goes on the recent change page. So as soon as he made his change, it went to the recent change page. The recent change page was also fed into an IRC channel, which is an internet chat channel that people are monitoring with various software tools. And people can get RSS feed. They can get email notification of change, and then users can set their own personal watch list. So my page is on quite a few volunteers' watch lists, because it is sometimes vandalized, and therefore what happens is someone will notice the change very quickly and then they will just simply revert the change. There is a new page feed, for example, so you can go to a certain page of Wikipedia and see every new page as it's created. This is really important because a lot of new pages are just garbage that has to be deleted. As SDF, but also there's some of the most interesting and fun things, some of the new articles. People will start an article on some interesting topic. Other people will find it intriguing and jump in and help and make it much better. So Windows had added by anonymous user, which is one of the most controversial and intriguing things about Wikipedia. So Chris was able to do his change. He didn't have to log in or anytime. He just went on the website and made a change. But it turns out that only about 80% of all these added to the website are done by anonymous users. That's a really important thing to understand. The vast majority of the edits that go on the website are from a very close-knit community of maybe 600 to 1,000 people who are in constant communication. And we had over 40 IRC channels, 40 mailing lists. All these people know each other. They communicate. We had offline meeting. These are the people who are doing the bulk of this site, and they are, in a sense, semi-professional in what they are doing. The standard we set for ourselves equal to or higher than professional standard of quality. We don't always meet those standards, but that's what we are striving for. And so that Thai community is who really care for the site, and these are some of the smartest people I had ever met. It's my job to say that, but it's actually true. The type of people who wrote down to read, drawn to writing an encyclopedia from tend to be pretty smart people. The tool and the software. There is a lot of tools that allow us, meaning the community, to self-monitor and to monitor all the world. This is an example of a page history on flat Earth. And you can see some changes that were made. What's nice about this page is you can immediately take a look and this and see, okay, I understand now. When somebody goes and do that, they see that someone, an anonymous IP number, made an edit to my page. That sounds suspicious. Who is the person? Somebody look at it. They can immediately see highlight in red all of the change that took place. To see, okay, well, this world has changed. Things like this. So that's one tool that we can use to very quickly monitor the history of a page. Another thing that we do within the community is we leave everything at very open-ended. Most of the social rules and the method of work are left completely open-ended in the software. All of that stuff is just on Wikipedia, and so there's nothing in the software that enforces the rule. The example of I got here is the vote for deletion page. So I mentioned earlier, people type ASDF, it needs to be deleted. Case like that, the administrator just delete it. There is no reason to have a big argument about it, but you can imagine there is a lot of other areas where the question is this notable enough to go in an encyclopedia? Is the information verifiable? Is it a horse? Is it true? Is it what? So we need a social method for figuring out the answer to this. And so the method that arose organically within the community is the vote for deletion page. And in the particular example we had here, it's a film, twisty issue, and the first person said, now it is supposed to be a film. It failed the Google test miserably. The Google test is you look in Google and see if it's there, because if something not even in Google. It probably doesn't exist at all. It's not a perfect rule, but it's a nice starting point for quick research. So somebody said, delete it, please delete it. Is that notable? And then somebody said, wait, I found it. I found it in a book. Film the video guide, the 20 underground film you must see. So the next person said, cleaning up. Somebody said, I have found it on IMDb. Keep. And what's interesting about this is that the software is. This photo I just test typed into a page. This is not really a vote so much as it is a dialogue. Now it is true that at the end of the day, an administrator can go through here and take a look at this and say, okay, AP delete, to keep, we will delete it. But in other cases, this could be AP delete and to keep, and we would keep it, because if lost less to keep safe. Wait a minute, nobody else said so this, but I found it in a book and I found it a link to a page that described it. And I'm going to clean it up for tomorrow, so please don't delete it, then it would be right. And it also matters who the people are who are voting. Like I said, it's a tiny community. Down here at the bottom, keep real movie. Rick is a very famous Wikipedian who does an enormous amount of work with federalism, houses, and vote for deletion. His voice carries a lot of weight within the community because he knows what he's doing. So how is all this governed? People really want to know about administration, things like that. So Wikipedia governance model, the governance of the community, is a very confusing but workable mix of consensus. Meaning we try to vote on the content of article, because the majority view is not necessarily neutral. Some amount of democracy. All of the administrators, these are the people who have the ability to delete page. That doesn't mean that they have the right to delete page. They still have to follow all the rules, but they are elected by the community. Sometimes people, random troll on the internet, like to accuse me of handpicking the administrator to bias the content of encyclopedia. I always laugh at this, because I had no idea how they elect. Actually, there is a certain amount of aristocracy. You got a hint of that when I mentioned, like Rick's voice would carry a lot more weight than someone we don't know. I get this talk sometimes with Angela, who was just re-elected to the board from the community, to the board of the foundation. It's more than twice the vote of the person who demanded it. And I always embrace her because I said, well, Angela, for example, could get away with doing absolutely anything within the Wikipedia because she is so admired and so powerful. But the irony is, of course, that Angela can do this because she is the one person who would never ever break any rule of Wikipedia. And I also like to say she is the only person who actually knows all the rules of Wikipedia. So, and then there is monarchy, and that's my rule of the community. So, I was describing this in Berlin once, and the next day in the newspaper the headline said, "I'm the Queen of England." And that's not exactly what I said, but the point is my role in the community. Within the free software world, there has been a long-standing tradition of benevolent dictator model. So if you look at most of the major free software projects, they have one single person in charge who everyone agrees is a benevolent dictator. Well, I don't like the term benevolent dictator, and I don't think that is my job or my role in the world of idea to be the dictator of the future of all human knowledge compiled by the world. It just isn't appropriate, but there is a need still for a certain amount of monarchy, a certain amount of. Sometimes we have to make a decision, and we don't want to get bogged down too heavily in formal decision-making process. So as an example of how this can be important, we recently had a situation where a neo-Nazi website discovered Wikipedia and they said, oh well, it is horrible. This Jewish conspiracy of a website and we are going to get certain articles deleted that we don't like. And we see that in a voting process. So we are going to send, we have 40,000 members and we are going to send it over and they are all going to vote and get this page deleted. Well, they managed to get 80 people to show up. That's neo-Nazi math for you. They always think they have got 40,000 members, well they got 18. But they managed to get 18 people to come and vote in a very absurd way to delete a perfectly valid article. Of course, the vote ended up being about 85 to 18. So there was no real danger to our democratic process. On the other hand, people say, but what are we going to do? I mean, this could happen. What if some group get really serious, organized, and come in and want to vote? Then I said, well, we will just change the rule. That's my job in the community, to say we won't allow our opponents and freedom to undermine the quality of the content. And so, as long as people trust me in my role, that's a valid path for me. Of course, because of the free licensing. If I do a bad job, the volunteers are more than happy to take and leave. I can't tell everyone what I do. So the final point here is that to understand how Wikipedia works. It's important to understand our wiki model is the way we work, but we are not fanatical web anarchists. In fact, we are very flexible about the social methodology because ultimately, the passion of the communities is for the quality of the work, not necessarily for the process we use to generate it. Thank you. Ben Sorder. Yet hi Ben. Sorder Jimmy. You mentioned impartiality being a key to Wikipedia's success. It strikes me that much of the textbooks that are used to educate our children are inherently biased. Have you found Wikipedia being used by teachers? How do you see Wikipedia changing education? Jimmy will. Yet, so a lot of teachers are beginning to use Wikipedia. There is a media storyline about Wikipedia, which I think is false. It built on the storyline of blogger versus newspaper, and the storyline is, there is this crazy thing, Wikipedia, but academic had it and teacher had it, and that turned out not to be true. The last time I got an email from a journalist saying, what do academics have Wikipedia? I sent it from my Harvard email address because I was recently appointed to a fellow there, and I say, well, they don't all have it. But I think there's going to be a huge impact, and we actually had a project that I personally really excited about, which is the Wikibook project, which is an effort to create a textbook in all the language. And there's a much bigger project. It's going to take 20 years or so to come to fruition. But part of that is to fulfill our mission of giving an encyclopedia to every single person on the planet. We don't mean we are going to spend expanded with AOL style CDs. We mean that we are going to give them a tool that they can use. And for a lot of people in the world, if I give you an encyclopedia that's written at a university level, it doesn't do you any good without a whole host of literacy and material to build you up to the point where you can actually use it. The Wikipedia project is an effort to do that, and I think that we are going to see. It may not even come from us. There's all kind of innovation going on, but freely licensed textbooks are the next big thing in education.